what I think another guy that probably is gonna be in there fighting for a first call with these guys.
What's up guys and welcome. You are watching Fazi Fitness. So let's start this video with Martin-Fitzwater, who guest posed less than 8 weeks out of this year's Miss Olympia, which by the way is gonna be his first ever Miss Olympia. So before we talk about how he looked, I wanna again point out to that Texas Pro breakdown video, where theMartian specifically mentioned his name in that list of the guys who are potentially gonna be in the first call out at this year's Miss Olympia. And I have to say that was so huge for Martin, because his name was mentioned after guys like Brandon Curry and Hunter Labrada. So theMartian was there judging this year's New York Pro, and that was the show where Martin showcased his true potential. And no wonder why theMartian is expecting to see Martin battle it out with the top guys this year.
You know, you still have Nick Walker, you still have Hunter, you know, who's trying to qualify. You still have Brandon Curry, and you have what I think another guy that probably is gonna be in there fighting for a first call with these guys, which is Martin-Fitzwater. So I couldn't be more excited for the Olympia as a fan of the sport.
So now let's take a look at that guest posing. And I have to say, for 8 weeks out, the man is looking a little smooth, especially considering the fact that he is 8 weeks out of the biggest show of his career. But at the same time, everyone is different. Not everyone is rated and detailed like Hadi Chopin when they are 8 weeks out. Now on the other hand, Martin does seem to have put on some serious size since this year's New York Pro. He's looking really round and really 3D and really bubbly, and his waist is still the same. So Martin did a total of 2 shows this year so far, and he wasn't as sharp in Detroit Pro as he was for the New York Pro. So let's just hope he brings that kind of condition with the added size, with the added muscle, because that is exactly what he needs if he wants to stand out among those top guys at the Olympia level. So it wasn't just the aesthetics that Martin has that made him so competitive against a guy like Nick Walker, who's a bigger, more muscular guy than him. It was a combination of everything: the size, the symmetry, the aesthetics, plus that crazy condition that he brought. So where do you guys think Martin is gonna land in 8 weeks time? And do you guys think he is behind, especially in terms of conditioning for 8 weeks out? So another guest posing happened last night, and it is none other than the beast, Akim Williams, guest posing at the NPC New Jersey Championship. So Sean Carida was also in the house, but he did not guest pose. So I have to say Akim is looking full blown for 8 weeks out, and that conditioning for this far out from this year's Miss Olympia, that is looking really solid. Because I'm sure all of you guys know, Akim is one of those guys who isn't ready weeks out of the shoe. So the man is right where he needs to be, because we have seen it in the past. He changes so much, especially in the last couple of weeks. So he is still working with Chris Aceto, and with a guy like Akim, who has so much overwhelming size and still has such great lines, amazing aesthetics, you can never count him out. And so what if he has 2 weak shots, and those are the back shots? Every guy in that Olympia lineup, even the reigning Miss Olympia, they have weaknesses. So Akim needs to bring the best conditioning of his career, and he has all the tools to really shake up those top 10 spots. So Chris Aceto was able to bring the late Sean Roden in the best condition of his lifetime back in 2018, and he won the Olympia that year. So Akim is in great hands, and we saw that in all the 3 shows that he did this year, 2 of the Arnolds and then Toronto Pro, which he eventually won, and that too with perfect scores to secure his Olympia spot. So will this be Akim's best physique to date? Well, I believe it most probably will be. Next up, we have an update from Rubie Mosa, aka Nexzilla. So Hunter Labrada is in a league of his own, and that is gonna be the case at this upcoming Italy Pro. And I have to say Rubie Mosa is the only one who can really give him a run for his money at that show. Or the more appropriate question would be, can he give Hunter Labrada a run for his money? Can he get lean enough? Can he match Hunter's conditioning? Because I think we can all agree, he is gonna outmuscle Hunter for sure. And if we look at the entire package, Hunter has a great flow from every angle. He is extremely streamlined for his frame, and he is a lot bigger than what we saw in 2023. I mean, this is the biggest and the leanest he has ever looked. So Rubie is also training extremely hard. And if he was only on 150 grams of carbs for weeks on end, And I am talking about before this year's Dubai Pro. So all he can do is to go even lower to get that extra detail and more separation that the judges and the fans want to see on him. So Hunter's team, especially his coach Ben Chow, they aren't worried about it at all. They aren't worried about anyone coming in Italy Pro this year because these guys have done their homework.
What are your thoughts about him and Rubiel? Because Rubiel is probably going to be his. I don't know if you know anybody else in the show that's going to be of that caliber.
That mass.
I don't, and I'm not too focused on who he's going to be stood next to. If he is how he needs to be, I don't believe we'll have a problem. And I'm not saying that arrogantly. Like, if he's on point, he's going to handle himself very well.
So Rubiel is still going to have a shot at the Olympia qualification at UK Pro, which is happening a week after Italy, especially if he has secured the visa. So it wasn't Rubiel's fault that people had such high expectations from him for this year's Dubai Pro. I have to say Chris Cormier is the one who built up that hype around him. And we have to keep in mind, this is the era of social media. The bigger the hype, the bigger the disappointment will be if you cannot deliver. Because if someone doesn't live up to the hype, people are definitely going to talk about that as well. And that is exactly what happened at this year's Dubai Pro. But I have to say, all that being said, Rubiel is still a true freak of nature. He is the freaks of freak and improved his symmetry quite a lot in just a matter of a few months after Prague last year, which was only his men's open debut. Just take a look at the flow of his front double biceps here in Dubai versus back in Prague. So the question is, can Rubiel shock the bodybuilding world and deny Hunter Labrada his Olympia qualification in 3 weeks' time? So next up is the physique update of the reigning Miss Olympia champion Derek Lunsford, hitting us with his most muscular pose. And we know this is the strongest shot for his biggest rival Hadi Choopan. So this is 8 weeks out, and no one should have any doubts that Derek is going to be in condition. So I have a feeling that he is going to be in the best conditioning of his life at this year's Miss Olympia, because he knows what's at stake here. I mean, we can all see how much he is pushing for this year's big show. He has never applied this much pressure on himself ever before. And that is something that comes with being Miss Olympia champion, when everyone is chasing you, when everyone is gunning for you. So it is really insane how his front seems like it is just gonna explode here. And we all know his coach Honey Rambot. He designed his workouts in a way prioritizing his chest and his delts, and of course his quads. And the improvements he has been able to make, and that too everywhere, they are really visible now, at least for 8 weeks out. Now the question is, how will he look on the stage after dropping all the water, after going through that peak week protocol? So that is a $1 million question, because what we have seen from Derek in the last 2 years, that wasn't the best from Derek. Plus the fact that he loses a lot of volume and density when he loses all the water. So one of the reasons for that is he put on a lot of muscle from 2022 to 2024. And it's all new muscle, so it's harder for it to stick all the way up until the day of the show. But this is his 3rd year in the men's open class. Also his 1st year as the winning Miss Olympia. And Derek hasn't looked this big and still very lean, the way he looked during this entire off-season before. So all the eyes are on the champ. What do you guys think? Will he repeat? So hit the thumbs up button if you liked the video, and smash the subscribe button if you wanna come back for more. Thanks for watching.